Have you ever wondered why your parents caution you each time you whistle at night? Has your grandparents ever cautioned you each time you try whistling? Are you curious to know what actually happens? In a village named Ori, there lived a couple. They were a very lovely couple. This couple were childless for many years. They battled with miscarriage for a very long time. Their prayers were finally answered and they had a son after 7 years. They named their son Obinna. Growing up as a child, Obinna was a very respectable child. He was very obedient and hardworking. He always helped out his parents, run errands for people. Obinna was always ready to help out elders on the road. He always helped out old market women carry heavy loads. When Obinna clocked 10 years old, his father bought him a flute. He was so excited. He always played his flute whenever he was less busy. Within a month, Obinna became perfect at playing flutes. He could compose a fine tune with it. In the evening, Obinna would always come out to the village square to play some fine tunes. The villagers always came out to cheer him and dance to his tunes. Obinna always followed his parents to the farm. He helped them out a lot. The village of Ore has a culture that they practice every year. Every year, they bring out a day for a great ceremony. That ceremony involves a lot of competitions like dancing competition, wrestling, running, playing of musical instruments. The winner of each competition gets a very handsome reward from the king. It was that time of the year again. It was time for various competition. Everyone was practicing hard in their own field. Dancers were practicing hard. Hunters and hackers were practicing hard. Runners were practicing. Everyone were just rehearsing really hard and getting ready. Obinna, on the other hand, was practicing really hard for the D-Day. Every evening, he would practice his flute under a mango tree in front of his father's compound. The melody coming from his flute traveled far. People living around them enjoyed and hummed to the tune. As the ceremony was drawing close, people intensified their practice. Likewise Obinna. He practiced and practiced. He even generated new tunes. One day, he was carried away by his rehearsal that he forgot that he wasn't meant to whistle or play his flute at night. Luckily for him, before it clicked 7 p.m., his mother called out to him. That was when he got a hold of himself and stopped playing his flute. The D-Day finally arrived. As other competitions were going on, Obinna sat down in the crowd, quiet and composed as he watched, awaiting his turn. When it was time for music, Obinna and other flute players came forward. As expected, Obinna outdid other competitors. He played his flute with so much emotion. The king was moved to tears as he listened to his fine tune. The crowd were all moved by his fine tune. When he finished, everyone hailed him. It was time for awarding the winners. The king awarded him a lot of goodies. He was impressed by his performance. Obinna's parents were super proud of him. They couldn't contain their joy. They hugged him immensely. "I'm so proud of you," his mother said as he pecked him. That night was a very joyous one for them. They celebrated him. A few years later, Obinna grew into a dashing, handsome young man. One day, his parents called him for a talk. His father cleared his throat and said, "Obinna, my son, you've grown into a man old enough to get married. We, your parents, will be very glad if you get a wife and settle down on time." Obinna answered and said, "I'm so grateful for your concern towards me, but the problem now is that I don't know any lady." His parents assured him not to worry about that. "We can easily get you a wife," they said. A few months later, they found a wife for him. Obinna's wife was named Nkechi. Nkechi was a young lady. She was well known for her kindness and humbleness. Obinna loved his wife. The wife also loved and respected him. Aside from playing flute, Obinna was also a wealthy farmer. He had a large farm where he planted food crops. His wife was a trader in the market. She was a distributor. She sold a lot of crops from her husband's farm. Tina had a lot of servants serving him. He was respected in the neighborhood. He was also a giver. He made lots of donations to the society. 10 years later, they already had two kids, a son and a daughter. They were 9 years and 8 years old respectively. Their names were Chike and Ada respectively. They were loved by their parents. They lacked nothing. Chike was very stubborn and strong-headed. He was very arrogant. He never listened to his parents. He was very proud. He always made fun of people from poor families, thereby associating with only people from wealthy families. That bad character of his made his parents worried about him. His parents cautioned him so many times, all to no avail. One day, his father gifted him a flute. Like father, like son, he was able to handle it within a week. He was also able to develop fine tunes. When his father gifted him the flute, he gave him a warning. Never play your flute in the night. Why? Chike asked. His father sighed and said, "You don't need to know. Just listen to simple instruction." He snapped. Chike found it ridiculous. One day, as he was playing and discussing with his friends, he told them what his father said. His friends also said that their parents gave them the same warning. Chike kept on pestering his father to find out the reason behind such advice. His father answered and said, "Honestly, I don't know. This is an advice that has been passed down from one generation to another. All you need to do is just listen and heed to the advice." Chike laughed and said, "You all are just hilarious." He said, "This is just a superstitious belief." The next day, he gisted his friends about what his father said. His friends advised him to heed his father's instruction. Chike laughed and called them cowards. "Don't tell me you all believe that ridiculous story." He laughed at them. Deep down, his friends were very curious to know what would happen, but they were scared. Chike finally succeeded in convincing them. One day, as they all planned, they all went to the village square at night to play the flute. They went to the village square because they couldn't do it at home. When they got to the village square, Chike started playing the flute. At first, nothing happened for the first few minutes. This made his friends so relaxed and comfortable. It even boosted Chike. He bragged and said, "You see, nothing happened." Then Chike started playing the flute again and his friends were hailing him. Suddenly, he stopped. There were terror in his eyes. He tried to talk but couldn't. Hot tears streamed down his face. He couldn't even move an inch from where he was. As his friends saw what was happening, they screamed for help. The scream woke up the whole village. They all gathered at the village square, including Chike's parents. Chike's mother wept when she saw the condition of her son. The chief priest was called. When he came and heard the story, he threw some pebbles on the ground and did some incantations. After the incantation, he heaved a huge sign and said, "He has committed a huge abomination. He saw what he shouldn't have seen." Whistling or playing flute at night is a way of summoning evil spirits, and they appear to only the person that summoned them. The whole village shouted. Chike's mother went down on her knees, crying. She begged the chief priest to find a solution. The chief priest pitied the weeping mother and decided to try again. After several incantations, he signed and looked up to Chike's mom and Chike's dad, who were looking at him with expectant eyes. The spirit refused, he said. Chike's parents broke down in tears again. The chief priest packed up his load and left. Chike remained at that position, his mouth attached to the flute till the next day. He couldn't talk, nor could he move his body. His eyes were bulged out. The elders of the village went to the chief priest's hut. After several incantations and trials, the chief priest finally smiled. They agreed, he said. The spirits have finally agreed, but on one condition. That is, you have to appease them with 5 cows and 7 fowls. Immediately, Chike's father provided everything needed for the sacrifice, and the chief priest carried out the sacrifice. It was already noon, and Chike was still stuck in that position. The chief priest came back to the scene. He laid his hand on his head and made some incantations. Immediately, Chike collapsed on the ground. He has been set free. Chike was set free, but his actions had some repercussions. The spirits took his voice and his ability to play flute. This served as a very big lesson to everyone and this story was told for generations.